What's up guys, welcome back. Today I'm showing you my recipe for seafood lasagna. But before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that bell and enable notifications as well. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get in the kitchen and make it happen. Now, as you guys know, I'm on record as saying I'm not a big fan of ricotta. It's kind of gritty, doesn't really taste that great. So here I'm using 8 ounces of sour cream and mixing it with 8 ounces of ricotta. This mixture is much more delicious than just plain old ricotta. I'm also going in with 1 tablespoon of garlic paste. Minced garlic would work here as well. And 1 cup of parmesan cheese. Going in with a ½ cup of chopped parsley and your favorite Cajun seasoning. Once we've added all those ingredients to our mixing bowl, we're going to break out our rubber spatula. Give everything a nice mix, allow those flavors to come together like a big happy family. There's no egg in this mixture, so you can taste as you go and adjust the flavor to your preference. As always guys, the specific measurements and ingredients are listed for you in the description box below. We're going in with some crushed red pepper just to add a little bit of spice. That's totally optional, but I do enjoy the flavor that it adds. We're also going to add a little bit of salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. Looking good. There's that pepper we talked about. As always guys, taste as you go and adjust the seasoning to your preference. Now we're moving on to the seafood. I cooked this whole lobster by boiling it for about 8 to 12 minutes depending on the size of your lobster. If you're interested in seeing how to cook a whole live lobster, I have that recipe linked for you right here as well. If you don't feel like messing with lobster, you can always use bay scallops or crawfish in place of it, or you can just use crab and shrimp if you want. Totally customizable based on what kind of seafood you like. But if you did use the lobster, we're going to go ahead and remove the meat from the claw and the tail. This is the best way to do it when you're removing the meat from the tail. Just take your kitchen scissors and cut down both sides. And that delicious lobster meat will come right out nice and easy. And then you're going to want to crack open the claw to dislodge the meat from the claw as well. Don't forget the knuckles. A lot of good lobster meat in there. Some places like Wegmans, for example, you can buy frozen already cooked lobster meat. That'll make it a lot easier for you. It is a bit more expensive, but hey, that's a decision you guys got to make. Look at that claw meat. Looking good. Now we're going in for the knuckles. Nothing goes to waste here. I just recommend hitting your local seafood market and, using whatever seafood you like. You want to cut these up into bite-sized pieces. You want these to be about the same size as your shrimp, which we'll get to in just a moment. I'm going to slice up that lobster tail. Man, this dish is absolutely packed with seafood. It's so good. This is perfect for you guys that want to switch it up a little bit this Thanksgiving. Or you're looking for a meal to make, when you got your family in town. Here we have some extra large shrimp that are already peeled and deveined, and the shell has been removed. We're just going to cut them in half, and as you can see, those will be about the same size as our lobster pieces. There we go. That's about 4 ounces of lobster, 8 ounces of shrimp, and we have 1 pound of crab meat that we'll be using. Now we're just going to partially cook the shrimp and warm our lobster up a bit. Going into our pan with 2 tablespoons of butter, the 8 ounces of shrimp. We're going to season that up a bit with salt and pepper, a little bit of Cajun seasoning. No need to get too crazy on the seasoning because we're going to season this lasagna all the way through, so no worries there. We just want that shrimp to partially cook. We'll toss the lobster in as well, just to warm everything up. And then we're going to dump that into our mixing bowl with that 1 pound of already cooked lump crab meat. Looking good. Hit it with a little bit more Cajun seasoning. You can taste this too just to make sure the flavor is spot on through every element of this dish. That's a hell of a seafood trio right there. Man, I could eat that with a spoon right now. Alright, time to boil our lasagna noodles. Here's a quick trick. If you find this lobster base, I highly recommend it if you can. It's on Amazon. A lot of stores carry it in the chicken stock aisle as well. Add a little bit of that to your pasta water and you will infuse tons of seafood flavor into your noodles. Moving on to our bechamel sauce, which is going to be kind of like a thick Alfredo. Going in with 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of that lobster base if you can find it. If not, no big deal. We got tons of seafood flavor in this dish. You can sub it for chicken or garlic base if you have that. And then we're going in with about 2 tablespoons of flour and whisking all of that together until it forms a nice paste, which is going to be the thickening agent for our sauce. And we do want this to be a little bit thicker than a regular Alfredo because we don't want our lasagna to be too runny. So just cook this mixture for about 1 to 2 minutes until that raw flour flavor dissipates. And then we're going in with 2 cups of heavy cream. Give that a nice mix. You want to bring this up to a boil so that flour kind of dissolves into the sauce. You want it nice and smooth, kind of like so. Make sure you get everything up off the bottom of the skillet. Season it up a little bit with that Cajun seasoning. Always taste as you go though, because a lot of these elements do have some sodium, so you don't want to overdo it. We're adding in about a cup of Parmesan total. You want to do this off the heat so that the cheese just melts into the sauce beautifully, as you see here. Just add your cheese a little bit at a time. Once your water starts boiling, go ahead and add your lasagna noodles. Cook those to package instructions. And then you always want to get nice and organized when you're doing something like a lasagna. So here we have all of our ingredients ready to roll. I have some fresh mozzarella, some fresh shredded Fontina cheese as well. The first layer you want to put in your baking dish is going to be that sauce that we made. So put down a nice thin layer at the bottom. This will ensure that none of the noodles stick to the bottom. And you'll get that nice money shot at the end. And then we're going to put our first layer of noodles down. No right or wrong way to do this, really just build it based on the dish that you're using. And then we're going down with that ricotta mixture. Again, a nice thin layer of that on top of the noodles. Man, I can't wait for you guys to try this recipe. This is one of my favorites that I've done in quite a while. That parsley adds a nice pop of color throughout the dish. Going down with a layer of that seafood trio that we have. Again, if you don't want to use one of the 3 that I chose, you can always substitute things like crawfish, bay scallops. Things like that work perfect. And then on top of that seafood layer, we're going to add some fresh mozzarella cheese. That's just going to melt beautifully. And then some of that Fontina. If you have a favorite cheese, feel free to use it here as well. I just like how Fontina blends with this dish. And then we're going to add a thin layer of that sauce again. Don't get too heavy on it because again, you don't want your lasagna to be too runny. And you guys kind of get the picture. We're going to repeat this process. This is a 3-layer lasagna. Depending on the size and shape of your baking dish, you may need to go a little bit heavier with your layers. And just repeat that process until you're at the top. And we're going to put down 1 last layer of noodles and then 1 last layer of sauce. And of course, we're going to top it with that seafood so some of it kind of pokes through the cheese, gives a beautiful appearance for presentation purposes. Nothing like seeing some melted mozzarella over a big chunk of lobster meat. Going down with a little Parmesan cheese here. Make sure you guys tag me anytime you make these dishes on Instagram, Twitter. Share it with me. I love watching you guys cook and see what you guys create. Now this is going in a 375-degree oven for about 40 minutes. Or until it's nice and brown and bubbly like so. You guys know what's coming next. That's right. A little fresh chopped parsley for a pop of color. Remember, you eat with your eyes first, people. There is the trademark money shot, and you know I gotta try this. Look at the layers of seafood in this one. Oh man. Oh, a little shrimp tried to, nope, not getting away from me, champ. Here we go, moment of truth. Oh man, this one's good. Well, there you have it, folks. That's my recipe for seafood lasagna. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you share this with all your friends and family. And as always, guys, thank you for your support.